I took the job nobody wanted to save my kid's life. 3 weeks later, reporters were waiting outside his elementary school calling me a traitor. Be honest, if that was your child, would you run or would you fight? My name is Gabe. I'm a dad, first a science teacher by training, and that morning I was a driver because hospital bills don't care about your passion. The number on the paper was $43,000 for my son's heart surgery. My salary the year before was $38,000, and there isn't a calculator on earth that makes that math work. I was at our wobbly kitchen table, coffee going cold, when Mateo shuffled in wearing Iron Man pajamas, hair doing its own weather report, holding this little contraption he built from cardboard tape, a broken calculator panel. "It's a solar car," he said, angling it toward the window. The wheels started to turn. That tiny buzz sounded like hope in plastic. I've always told my students what I tell my boy. Science is curiosity with a plan. We built volcanoes not because the test demanded it, but because feeling the fizz sticks with you more than a paragraph ever will. Then the district cut my job, and suddenly my lectures about persistence were competing with the noise of the rent. I picked up sub-shifts, sold a few things I swore I'd never sell, learned how to smile at collection notices. That's when I saw it thumbtacked to a community board between a pet sitter flyer and a couch with one honest stain. Personal driver needed immediate start, competitive salary discretion required. Someone had scribbled Ice Queen in the margin. I called anyway. You would too. The elevator to the 42nd floor didn't make a sound. That's how you know a building is expensive. It whispers gravity into submission. She stood by the glass like a person who owns the horizon. Aurora Hale. If clean energy had royalty, she was it. Billions in solar and wind, impossible standards, a schedule guarded like nuclear codes. "Tell me why you want this job," she said. Voice razor clean, not unkind, just careful. I could have bullshitted something about career pivots and impact, but the truth came out first. "My son needs heart surgery. I can't pay for it without this." Her expression didn't move, but the temperature in the room shifted. She asked about references, driving record how I handle silence, repetition, precise roots. I said I taught middle school science. I've supervised a kid trying to set a desk on fire with a magnifying glass. I think I can manage Market Street at 8 a.m. A corner of her mouth almost counted as a smile. "Salary is $180,000, full health coverage. You start Monday at 600 a.m. Don't be late." We shook hands. Her fingers were cold. Mine were shaking. Monday, 59 a.m. Engine humming car, positioned exactly 12 feet from the elevator because the head of security had drilled it into me like scripture. If you've never driven an armored sedan, imagine guiding a polite rhinoceros through city traffic. Doors open, Aurora moves like a checklist. Charcoal coat, precise heels, phone already at her ear. Moscone South entrance. Take Van Ness. Market will be backed up. No small talk. Not even medium talk. 3 calls at once, documents on a tablet, lipstick at a red light with surgeon-level precision. I was furniture with a driver's license, and that was fine. I needed the paycheck more than conversation. Around noon, she came out of a boardroom with the face I've seen on 100 teachers after a school board meeting. Polite, tight simmering. "They want a natural gas project for the quarter," she said, like it tasted bad. I don't know why I said it, but I did. People call you naive when they're scared you might actually succeed. She looked up through the mirror just for a beat. A crack in the ice, a fraction of a degree. "Tomorrow, 5:30 a.m., Sacramento site visit," she said. "We'll talk strategy on the drive." That was the first time I realized she wasn't cold. She was armored. Then the babysitter called. 5:18 a.m., 2 weeks later. Gabe. I'm so sorry. My daughter's in the ER. I can't take Mateo. I looked at my son, backpack packed, hospital bracelet still on from a checkup, trying to be brave. And I did the kind of math policy manuals don't cover. Leave him alone for 12 hours, or violate the rules and take him with me. I told him to wear his good shirt. He climbed into the back seat like a kid boarding a rocket. Dad, are you sure? No. But some rules protect property, other rules protect people. I picked the second kind. The elevator opened. Aurora stepped out, saw the extra passenger, and stopped. It felt like forever. We will discuss the passenger manifest later, she said. Mateo stuck his hand out with a courage I wish I had at 9. I'm Mateo, ma'am. I'm sorry for the inconvenience. She looked at his hand, then shook it, serious to serious. I'm Aurora. You're not an inconvenience, you're an unexpected variable. We drove, and the variable started talking. Did you know the sunlight that hits Earth in 1 hour could power the world for a year? He asked. We just don't capture enough. She didn't laugh. She answered. Storage and grid integration are the choke points, she said, and suddenly the back seat was a tiny seminar. I watched something I had not expected. The loneliest woman in Silicon Valley and my 9-year-old son bonding over electrons in an armored car. We toured a manufacturing line that afternoon. Robotic arms made movements so precise it felt like a ballet nobody clapped for. It's not magic, she told Mateo Hairnet on Smile Reel. It's science. That night, a courier knocked on our apartment door, carrying a package like it was a crown jewel. Inside was a kid-scaled, pro-quality solar kit, with a note in her careful handwriting. For a young scientist who understands efficiency matters more than flash. We cleared the kitchen table and started tinkering. Photons to electrons to current to light my son's face lit brighter than the lamp we powered. There are gifts, and there are invitations. This was an invitation. Days later, we're driving to City Hall for a meeting about panels on municipal buildings. The officials were polite in that way people are when they're already saying no. Initial costs, this maintenance, that. On the way out, I said, you're selling physics. They buy votes. Show them parents saving money at school. They'll find a budget. She told me to drive to Lincoln Elementary, where I used to teach. She studied the roof like an engineer sizing up a dream. South exposure, minimal shade, solid structure. Pilot site, she said, half to herself. Panels that power the building and teach the kids. Let them track output in class. My heart tried to run before my brain could walk. I can build curriculum, I said. She nodded. We'll need a community outreach coordinator. Same pay. More purpose. I kept my eyes on the road, but my soul did a fist pump. Then came the gala. Legion of Honor, big glass, bigger donors. She introduced me as our education consultant. Yeah, that happened. She wore navy, not armor, and for the first time I saw her at ease, laughing, asking people about their kids, telling stories about wind in Denmark, like it was a bedtime story with numbers. We spoke with a foundation director who's funded more classrooms than I've substitute taught. I told her about a kitchen table solar car and a rooftop lab, students tracking the sun, while the sun pays their electric bill. She didn't ask about EBITDA. She asked about field trips and dashboards. Commitments started lining up like dominoes. Stick around because what happened next will blow your mind. The headline hit in the morning like a punch you never see coming. Billionaire's driver leaks security routes for cash. Screenshots everywhere. Bank transfers totaling 50 grand. Emails with my name and an electronic signature. Meeting details I couldn't have known if I lived under her desk. My phone buzzed until the battery begged for mercy. Then the school called. "Mr. Cruz, there are reporters outside asking for Mateo." You know when a room goes quiet and your heartbeat sounds like a drumline. That. Security slid me through the garage to Aurora's office. It looked like a war room. Lawyers with hard eyes, PR in muted tones, security hunched over monitors. Marcus, her half-brother, sat in her chair, like the chair owed him rent. "Distance yourself from him," a lawyer said, not looking at me so she wouldn't catch what I felt about her. "Frame this as a breach you caught." Aurora didn't answer her. She looked at me. "We know it's fake. The question is whether we can prove it before the story cements. Do you think that's fair? That a lie can sprint while the truth laces its shoes?" Colin's head of security explained like a patient teacher. "The electronic signature uses an encryption key our system rotated out 3 months before the document date. The alleged emails reference an account number the bank has never issued. Our vehicle logs, every call, every data transfer, show no transmissions at the times they claim. Technically impossible." My phone buzzed again. "Dr. Martinez, we're moving Mateo's surgery up to Friday. Not an emergency, but best soon." So there it was. Reputation, employment, and my son's chest all on 1 week's calendar. I told Aurora I'd step back. Let her handle it without my headline attached. She shook her head. "You're not a liability. You're the proof the mission is people, not press releases." Marcus sighed in a way that sounded like money losing patience. Then the elevator dinged and in walked an ally I did not expect. Rebecca Patterson from the gala with a briefcase and a resolve that could cut steel. "We're funding the school pilot regardless of your board politics," she said. "Contingent on Gabe leading community outreach. You ever feel so seen it hurts a little?" That. We made a quiet plan. No microphones. Gather forensics. Keep Mateo off the front page. Marcus called an emergency board meeting for Thursday to push a vote of no confidence. The surgery was Friday. That timing wasn't an accident. It was a tactic. The boardroom was the movie version. Long table, too much wood of view meant to intimidate. I wasn't inside, but I saw the footage later. Aurora didn't argue with feelings. She argued with math. Timeline of key rotations. System logs from the car. A bank's issuance sequences. Then the sentence that changed the oxygen in the room. Who benefits if you believe this? When powerful people realize they've been played, they get quiet real fast. Marcus tried the pivot. Even if these specific documents are questionable, broader security concerns remain. It sounds smart until you press on it. She pressed. She showed archived access logs that someone with board-level credentials pulled my personnel file and internal comms protocols 3 weeks before the leak. She showed payments to a reputation firm famous for information shaping. Her father asked it flat. "Are you accusing your brother?" She didn't nod. She didn't need to. Pattern interrupt. While she built a case against her blood, I was signing consent forms and covering my boy's hands with mine. And then the twist. She reached into a folder and took out her resignation letter, held it up like a white flag. The board leaned forward to catch the fall. She tore it in half. "We're not resigning our integrity today," she said. "We're referring this to federal investigators." My phone buzzed that second. Surgery successful. I let out a sound I didn't know I had been holding. Collins put a hand on my shoulder and didn't try to fill the moment. Good men know when silence is holy. By sunset, Marcus was suspended pending investigation. The same board that wanted me gone was suddenly interested in phrases like due process and forensic trail. Funny how justice looks different when it knocks on your door. That night, Aurora rode with me to the hospital. No back seat, no barriers. Mateo blinked awake and whispered, "Did we win?" She smiled in a way I had not seen before. We did the right thing. Winning is just the world catching up. 2 days later, she brought a contract to the pediatric ward, community outreach coordinator for educational initiatives. Same pay as the driver job. Purpose finally matching paycheck. Mateo's voice was still raspy when he asked, "Does this mean other kids get to build better solar cars than mine?" "Way better," I said, and he managed that grin that used to wear him out before the surgery. Now it just looked like joy. 6 months is a blink and a lifetime. Panels on Lincoln's roof, sunlight hitting tempered glass, kids watching the data climb on tablets every morning and cheering like it's a scoreboard. A third grader built a solar irrigation rig with tubing, and a plastic bin kept the school garden alive through a heat wave. Fifth graders ran a solar car race and learned why gear ratio beats shiny spoilers. Parents came to night sessions, asked dumb questions that were the smartest questions in the room. The principal showed me the utility bill, lower than last year. The savings went to microscopes and teacher stipends. You could feel the pride in the hallways like fresh paint. We took a photo at the launch ceremony. Me, Mateo, standing tall and healthy, Aurora actually laughing, with a sea of panels behind us. That picture sits on her desk now. The corporate awards moved to a shelf. The family photo took the center. You can call that corny. I call it accurate. Now here's the part that's going to split the comments, and that's fine with me. Justice didn't arrive as a single gavel bang. It came in fragments. Marcus was indicted, convicted on fraud and computer intrusion, sentenced to time some say is too short, and others say is plenty. The board rewrote governance policies, promised oversight and recusal, told me privately they were sorry, posted publicly about learning. The paper ran a correction buried under a shoe ad. Some folks who called me a thief never looked me in the eye again. Do you think that's fair? At the same time, 3 more funders joined because they watched us fight for something that wasn't a line in a deck. 12 schools are online now, each one a rooftop lesson plan feeding the grid and the kids. A state university is studying the program because 5th graders are describing grid stability like undergrads. Parents who never came to PTA night are asking about storage safety and panel maintenance. We didn't grow because we crushed a boardroom argument. We grew because a 9-year-old in pajamas built a solar car, and a woman in a glass tower remembered that education counts as return on investment. That's the truth. If it were you, what would you have done when the lie hit first? Take the quiet payout to make it go away, or fight, and let your kid watch you bleed in public? But stand anyway. I'm not judging. I just know what I had to see in my own mirror. People say business is business. They say reputation is everything, until a lie helps their side. They say quarterly profits matter more than the air our kids breathe. I'm not anti-profit. I've been broke. I know the holiness of a full fridge after a long drought. But I also know the look on a child's face when the sun pays for their school's lights, and they realize they helped make that happen. There's profit and there's value. Sometimes they align. Sometimes they fight. That's where you learn who you are. Aurora asked me recently, driving past the factory with windows down like normal people, any regrets about taking the job nobody wanted? I thought about pre-dawn coffee, about being treated like furniture by someone who didn't know how to say hello yet, about the cold bench outside surgery and the message on my phone. Only that it took me this long to meet the version of myself who could do it, I said. She laughed and called it a non-answer. Maybe it was. You know what I mean? Here's where I'll leave you. With a win in hand and a bigger conversation on the table. Who decides what our kids learn about the world's problems? boards and billionaires or teachers and parents at the kitchen table? Should a correction buried on page 7 balance a lie that wrecked a family on page 1? Should a school roof be a science lab or an advertising billboard? I have my answers. I want to hear yours. Tell me where you're watching from and your local time. If you were me, would you have broken protocol to take your kid with you, risking the job, or kept the rule and risked something breaking inside him you can't replace? Do you think the board deserves credit for reforming after they almost burned us down? Drop your take below. Argue with me, agree with me, or tell me a time you had to choose between safe and right. And if this hit you anywhere true, share it with one person who needs the reminder. Hit subscribe for more real stories where justice shows up late but loud. And let's keep building together. One panel, one kid, one choice at a time.